Folks, we're back at her today after enough of drinking and eating and lounging around. Stevens' day here, back in the workshop. There's only so much sitting around the house you can do. I have to make a bit of a plate here on the back to extend this plate farther back here, and I'm going to make a gusset that comes up just to take the weight of the cab, because most of the weight is actually on this farther back section here, whereas the M cab, that 2-inch tube, comes further back and it's caught on here. That's what we're doing here today, folks. It's sort of a slow start after all the festivities and whatever, but getting back to it. Just marking out, don't know if you guys can see that there, it's a little template I made from cardboard, and I have center punched the holes that I need. I'm just going to take it out of the corners of this plate, piece of 10mm plate. But I'm going to mag drill the holes now first, just so they're accurate. And then I'll torch the plate out, clean it up with a mop disc, put a bit of a chamfer on it for a weld, slap her in there. That's my plate that I was talking about. Cut it out of a piece of 10mm plate. It's to add strength to the rear part of the bracket. I have it V'd out here ready for weld, 2 M16 bolts. We're also going to be drilling up through the tubing over here and putting 1 extra bolt in over here, because they would originally have like 3 bolts here on the rear end. So I don't know how good the light is, but I have that ready for weld, or ready to be tacked up. Then I'll dismantle this lower section again, and I'll take that all out of the way, out of harm's way, and we'll get a good run of weld on in through here. And we'll also try to put some sort of a strap from here up onto the top of the 2-inch tube in there. A bit of a mess here now, but we are making progress. I'm just welding in that plate I made there to extend this farther back, like I was saying. So to make up 2 of these out of a piece of 10mm. Just have it tacked up there now. People, we are back. A little update on progress here. Show you what I've been up to. We've had a lot of trial and error and a lot of measuring and fabricating and adjusting done. We have made fully welded, that's a nice weld. Fully welded and put a support strap here on the very back corners, which I was probably mentioned previously. We had a little bit too much sag. The springs and shocks are able to support the weight of this cab. I know that because it came from a model, you know, it's an M series cab. It's the same cab frame. But we ran into a problem here where the distance was too much. Sorry, I'm trying to move this light around. The distance was too much between the distance between here, this is where this originally bolted up to. That distance, I had to extend this. Our cab was sagging too much. I thought my measurements and everything were good, but then when we actually put the weight, the full weight of the cab on the two sides, it sagged too much and it left us riding a little low. So I ended up putting a spacer in here, which wasn't a huge deal. We have both sides done now, and I'm very happy with how it's looking. Very happy indeed. We're about a third of the way on the slot here, which is example I have taken from new M series tractors and the way they're set up. So again, same thing this side, put in this plate to extend. It's the same down the bottom, no change there. Just had to space this actually 50 millimeters is what it ended up being to get me back to what would be the original height of the cab. From the bottom of the axle to the bottom of this plate, you're talking about 575 millimeters, which is where we ended up back here now again. And we're a third of the way in the slot here. My brother actually gave me a lot of advice on setting up this strut here because he's a lot of experience with setting up suspension on race cars and stuff like that. He's had a lot of trial and error over the years, and he gave me some great advice here on this, setting up this dampener. And we actually realized as well that we have got some preload settings here for the spring, which also can be adjusted now to help. But the biggest thing was that you're in the full range of the dampener with this nylon bushing. So I had to make sure that this could make its way all the way to the bottom and all the way to the top within the stroke of the dampener. And however, I think what I didn't allow for when I was taking the initial measurements was the sag. How much would it sag? And to be fair, I didn't know how much it was going to sag until we put the weight of the cab on it. So like I said, trial and error. Like, you couldn't just put this all together and expect it to be perfect. Could I have made up for this spacer plate on the bottom? No, I couldn't, because the axle in this tractor is thicker here. I also have this plate sandwiched in here. We talked about that earlier on, which is gaining on us a little bit too. But no, very, very happy. We end up back. Let's get a nice shot of that there. You can see the bushings and the bolts and everything I've done in there to space it out. Looking good. Gonna put the wheels on it here now and take it for a drive on one of the roughest roads I can find here local to me, just to see how the cab is moving around, see are we happy. And if I'm happy, I'll bring her back. I'm actually going to take the wheels off it outside next time. I'm going to touch up this here. I want to paint these plates. I have them all cleaned down, but I do want to paint them black and just have it all looking proper. Get a retorque on all these bolts, throw a power bar on them again, And I'll also be rounding the edges of that spacer plate. I'll just round the corners of that and make it look a little less ugly. Back on all fours. Can't see much in there now anymore with everything back on. Ready for a test drive. Cab is sitting a nice height. I think it's a nice height. It's where it would have been originally, within a few millimeters. Steam is rising off me here after putting the two back wheels on. They are not small and they are not light. The tidy up continues. Now we have driven and tested and set up the suspension here over the course of a couple of evenings. We're extremely happy. We had to put in a spacer plate here. That distance was wrong. I didn't allow for the suspension to sag with the weight of the cab, and I also didn't allow for the cab to rise up. I was always thinking of the cab compressing down, and when I looked more at the way it should be set up, it should also allow the cab to come up some. With some trial and error there over the course of a couple of hours, we got it figured out, done a couple of test drives, and we're extremely happy. We're just kind of primed, painting here, like cleaned it down, bare metal, primed, took all the bolts out and everything so that it just, you give it a real clean look now when I put the fresh bolts and stuff back in. Some black paint. That strap there, I mean, it's a little bit mean looking, but it's going to serve its purpose, and not too many people are going to be looking in there. It's fairly well in there, like when you're at the back end of the tractor by the time you have your wheels on and everything. But very happy. That's the latest. This is going to be the final look here now at it. Just that I'll give you one more look at the finished product. I even put on that reflector there. That reflector originally would have been here on the axle, and that's the way it's done in the newer models as well. It's on the outside like that. You can see we've painted the additional strap and the plate. Just kind of ran over all the bolts again with a power bar, just to make sure everything is snug. Very happy with it now. Very happy with how the cab is moving around. And said I would give all you folks a look at the beautiful sky here this morning. Very nice, very fresh. This is more or less going to wrap this up with this tractor. We are doing some other jobs, but I mean, it has all been about the cab suspension is the big one. If I do end up publishing this online, I'd appreciate if you guys like, comment on the video. It'll drive it on a bit. I had thought from the very beginning a lot of people would be interested to see how this turned out. And if anyone is looking for more information on the parts that I used, where I got the parts, pricing, the problems that I encountered while I was doing the work, and all those kind of things, comment and I can get back to you guys. We're going to continue on here with this tractor. It's been amazing. We're going to get some mapping into it here now as well, and an EGR delete. Some upgrades as well with lighting and mirrors, and just smarten it up. Kind of have our first year over with it now and very happy with it. So exciting things to come. Exciting things to come for the 7.5. More power, less emission standards, and more work. Thanks for watching, folks.